अस्सलामुअलैकुम। प्रीवियस ईयर्स के क्वेश्चन पेपर्स को डिस्कस करते हुए आज हम बचे हुए एक पेपर यानी पेपर थर्ड, जिसका पहले नाम था J&K फाइनेंशियल कोड और आज रिप्लेस होके जनरल फाइनेंशियल रूल्स 2017 कहलाता है, उसके कुछ लास्ट ईयर के पेपर्स को हम देखेंगे। जैसे आपको पता है कि जब से सेक्रेटरीट असिस्टेंट ट्रेनिंग कोर्स का सिलेबस चेंज हुआ है 4/2021 में, उसके बाद से कोई भी एग्जाम अभी तक कंडक्ट नहीं हुआ। तो दैट मीन्स कि जनरल फाइनेंशियल रूल्स 2017 के हिसाब से कोई भी पेपर अभी तक कंडक्ट नहीं हुआ और इस वजह से कोई भी क्वेश्चन पेपर हमारे पास GFR 2017 का नहीं है। हाँ, अलबत्ता J&K फाइनेंशियल कोड के लास्ट 10 क्वेश्चन पेपर्स हमारे पास है जो हम आज देखेंगे। ये देखेंगे इसलिए क्योंकि बहुत सारे मिनिस्ट्रियल कैडर के एम्प्लॉयज जिन्होंने 4/2021 से पहले ट्रेनिंग की है, अभी तक एग्जामिनेशन में वो अपीयर नहीं हुए हैं और उनके लिए ही ये आज का वीडियो है, सो दैट उनको जो है क्वेश्चन पेपर्स का पैटर्न और क्वेश्चंस पता चले कि किस तरीके से आते थे। इंशाल्लाह आने वाले सीरीज में हम क्या करेंगे, हम GFR के भी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस आपके सामने लाएंगे। तो चलिए J&K फाइनेंशियल कोड के प्रीवियस ईयर्स के पेपर्स ईयर बाय ईयर हम देखते हैं। साल 2011, क्वेश्चन 1, state whether a drawing and disbursing officer can sanction an advance from the GP fund, who can sanction a special advance from the General Provident Fund and for which purposes. Question 2, what are the general rules relating to receipt of government money, its custody and payment into the Treasury. Question 3, describe the procedure for drawing money from Treasury by cheques. Question 4, write short notes on annual return of establishment, absentee statement, acquaintance roll, permanent advance, last pay certificate. Question 5, define the term contingent charges and explain briefly the various kinds of contingencies. Question 6, what are the general instructions regarding preparation and form of bills and vouchers? Question 7, define the following terms under the J&K Financial Code: administrative approval, consolidated fund of the state, contingency fund of the state, detailed contingent bill, revenue of the state, receipt of government. Question 8, all sums of money which any state officer receives in his official capacity are to be immediately paid in full into the treasury. Enumerate the case where this rule is relaxed. तो यहाँ पे 8 क्वेश्चंस दिए हैं, इसमें से आपको 5 ही करने को बोले गए थे इस पेपर में। साल 2012 पहला, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया 2012 2013 में दो बार एग्जाम्स हुए थे, तो ये साल 2012 का फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन पेपर है। अटेम्प्ट एनी 5 क्वेश्चंस। Question 1, discuss the grant of special GP fund advance to a subscriber for different purposes. Question 2, define any 5 of the following: administrative approval, contract, controlling officer, government servant, local body, appropriation, unit of appropriation. Question 3, describe general principles and restrictions relating to expenditure. Question 4, government receipts should be remitted into the treasury as soon as the same are realized. What are the exceptions to this general rule? Question 5, what are the rules to be observed by a government servant who is required to handle cash on behalf of government? Question 6, describe the general instructions with regard to preparation and form of bill and vouchers relating to payment on behalf of government. Question 7, describe the duty of drawer of a bill with regard to making deductions from salary bills on account of GP fund, SLI, income tax, house rent and other recoveries. Question 8, describe the instructions contained in rules with regard to arrear claims. साल 2012 second question paper. Attempt any 5 questions. Question 1, list the conditions under which special GP fund advance is sanctioned. Question 2, describe any 4 budget estimates, book transfer, controlling officer, proposition statement, local fund. Question 3, what are the norms governing the maintenance of accounts cash book? Question 4, what are the norms Governing last pay certificate. Question 5. List the general instructions regarding the preparation and form of vouchers. Question 6. Describe the general principles and restrictions related to expenditure. यहाँ पे भी आपको 5 ही करने थे. साल 2013 क्वेश्चन पेपर फर्स्ट. Attempt any 5 questions. Question 1, Part 1. Discuss the conditions specified in Rule 8C of the GP Fund rules under which withdrawals may be sanctioned by the competent authorities. यहाँ आपको Rule 8C of the GP Fund rules, तो ये वो वाले GP Fund rules है जो हमारे erstwhile state में इन वोग थे. आज हमारे पास जो सेंटर के है उसमें Rule 8C नहीं है क्योंकि ये क्वेश्चन पेपर 2013 का है, तो इस वजह से Rule 8C के बारे में पूछा गया है. तो यहाँ मैं आपको बता दूं कि जो पेपर अटेम्प्ट करेंगे पुराने सिलेबस के हिसाब से उनको पुराना ही जीपी फंड रूलिंग वगैरह पढ़ना है. चलिए पार्ट सेकेंड. व्हाट आर द पर्पसेस फॉर विच विड्रॉल्स अंडर रूल 8C कैन बी सैंक्शनड. क्वेश्चन 2. डिफाइन कंसोलिडेटेड फंड ऑफ स्टेट, कंटिंजेंसी फंड ऑफ द स्टेट, बुक ट्रांसफर, कैश, चेक, non-recurring expenses, stores. Question 3. Discuss in detail the cases under which the money received by an employee in official capacity required to be paid in full into the nearest treasury may be kept by the employee. यहाँ आपको मैं एक बात बता दूं कि जीपी फंड पुराना और नया मैंने दोनों अपने लेक्चर में कवर किए हैं, तो आप वहां से उनको जो है देख सकते हैं. Question 4. What are the rules to be observed by the government officers required to receive and handle cash? Discuss in detail with reference to Rule 2.10 of J&K Financial Code. Question 5. What are the general canons of financial propriety a government servant incurring or sanctioning expenditure from the revenue of the state should follow? Discuss miscellaneous rules and orders with reference to the following: erasures, overwriting and corrections, departmental check receipts and disbursements, call of vouchers from audit office. Question 7. What no demand certificate are required to be produced by a gazetted government servant before quitting the service due to retirement, etc. Describe briefly. साल 2013 second question paper. Attempt any 5 questions. Question 1. What general instructions are required to be followed regarding the preparation and form of bill and vouchers? Question 2. What instructions have been laid down in the rules for maintenance of cash book? Question 3. Write short notes on absentee statement, pay acquaintance roll, no demand certificate, last pay certificate. Question 4. As a rule, revenue stamps are required to be affixed in all cases of payments. Specify exception to this rule. Question 5. What are the duties and responsibilities of the following in relation to revenue and receipts? Departmental Controlling Officers, Controlling Officers, and Accountant General. Question 6. What procedure has been laid down in the rules of drawing money from the treasury by cheques? Question 7. State the authorities competent to sanction General Provident Fund यानी GP Fund Advance, both ordinary and special, in respect of the employees subordinate to these authorities. साल 2014. Question 1. यहाँ पे भी आपको attempt any 5 questions है. तो पहला क्वेश्चन. Define and discuss the main functions of the following: Accountant General, Administrative Officer, Controlling Officer, Treasury Officer, Drawing and Disbursing Officer. Question 2. What are the general principles and restrictions all government servants should follow while incurring or sanctioning expenditure? Question 3. Discuss the manner in which arrear claims have to be dealt with. Older than 6 months, older than 3 years, other arrear claims, time barred arrear claims. यानी कि वो आपको तरीका बताना है, तरीका प्रोसीजर आपको यहाँ पे लिखना है जिसमें हम एरियर क्लेम्स जो कि 6 महीने पुरानी हो या 3 साल पुरानी हो या बाकी क्लेम्स इनके बगैर जो हो या टाइम बार्ड क्लेम्स हो, उनको किस तरीके से डेल्ट करना है उसका आपको प्रोसीजर यहाँ पे बताना है. क्वेश्चन नंबर 4. Part 1. How should the pay of an officer be drawn on temporary absence from headquarters of a drawing and disbursing officer? Part 2. Who is competent to issue the LPC? What is it to be issued. I guess यहाँ पे what is it to be issued नहीं होगा, it will be when is it to be issued. तो आप इसको यहाँ पे when ही करके लीजिएगा. Part third, what is the pay of the government servant to be paid in case he is not in a position to produce LPC at new place of posting? Question 4, LPC is not required in one situation. Discuss. Question 5. ठीक है, यानी कि अभी तक हमने क्वेश्चन 4 के 4 पार्ट्स देखे. अब क्वेश्चन 5. What are the instructions which should be followed while preparing bills for traveling allowances? Question 6. What does salary for the purpose of income tax include? If an employee is living in a rented house, to what extent exemption is allowed on HRA? साल 2015. इसमें भी आपको 5 ही क्वेश्चंस करने हैं. What are the duties of a public servant as regard cash and accounts? Question 2. How are the receipts of money, its custody and payment into the Treasury regulated under the norms envisaged in the Financial Code? Question 3. What are the general principles and restrictions relating to expenditure? Question 4. What are the general instructions regarding the preparation of bills and vouchers? Question 5. How are arrear claims to be regulated under the norms envisaged in Financial Code? Question 6. What checks are to be exercised by a public servant on revenue receipts? तो इन 6 में आपको 5 करने हैं. साल 2016. Attempt any 5 questions. Question 1. Discuss the following. Special GP Fund Advance, Ordinary GP Fund, Withdrawal यानी Final Withdrawal. Question 2. Explain the duties of government employee as regard cash and accounts. Question 3. Describe the process involving payment and drawal of money into from the Treasury. Define the following. Consolidated Fund of the State, check, detailed head, unit of appropriation. Question 5. What are the norms governing the arrear claims? Question 6. Enumerate the deductions to be made from the pay bills. Question 7. For what purposes the advances from the General Provident Fund can be allowed under Rule 9(1) of J&K General Provident Fund Rules. साल 2018. Attempt any 5 questions. Question 1. What are the basic principles to be followed for maintenance of cash book in a government office? Question 2. What type of certificates are required to be obtained from a newly appointed person at the time of his joining? Question 3. Differentiate between controlling officer and head of the department. White detailed contingent bill and the red detailed contingent bill. Financial year and the calendar year. Appropriation and re-appropriation. Revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. इन 5 में आपको जो है differentiation दिखानी है between the 2. Question 4. Elaborate the purpose for which a special GP Fund advance can be sanctioned by the competent authority under Rule 9(2) of the GP Fund Rules. In question number 5. In how many maximum number of installments the special GP Fund advance is to be recovered? Question 6. What are the general principles to be allowed while incurring expenditure from government account? Question 7. What are the duties and responsibilities of a drawing and disbursing officer in the matter of incurring of expenditure on behalf of the government? साल 2020. Attempt any 5 questions. Question 1. Describe the appropriate sanctioning authority and the purpose for which sanction of advance of GP Fund is admissible under Rule 1 of the GP Fund Rules. Question 2. Define the following. Administrative approval, contract, detailed head, subordinate authority, unit of appropriation. Question 3. Discuss the receipt of money, its custody and payment into the Treasury by an officer. Question 4. What are the rules to be followed by the officers who are required to receive and handle the cash on behalf of the government? Question 5. What are the general instructions regarding preparation and form of bills and vouchers? Question 6. Describe in brief the procedure for issuance of duplicate or copies of documents as per J&K Financial Code. Question 7. What is the procedure of deduction to be made from the pay bills and what is a last pay certificate? ठीक है, ये थे क्वेश्चंस. नाउ इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस क्या क्या हमने इसमें देखे और भी है, लेकिन कुछ यहाँ पे मैंने दिखाए हैं जो कि बार बार पेपर्स में देखने को मिले. जीपी फंड रूल्स सारे, डेफिनिशंस, लास्ट पे सर्टिफिकेट, सर्विस बुक, कैश बुक, कैनॉन्स ऑफ फाइनेंशियल प्रॉपर्टी, रूलिंग रिगार्डिंग receipt and drawal of government money, payment of money into treasury, arrear claims, types and procedure to deal, preparation of bills and vouchers, exemption to affix the stamps, duties and responsibilities of a drawing and disbursing officer in the matter of incurring of expenditure on behalf of the government। तो ये थे कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस और लास्ट 8 सालों के ओवरऑल 10 पेपर्स। आई होप ये आपके लिए हेल्पफुल होंगे, ज़्यादा उनके लिए जिन्होंने 4/2021 से पहले ट्रेनिंग की है, बिकॉज ये J&K फाइनेंशियल कोड के पेपर्स है। मैं फिर से दोहराती हूँ, जनरल फाइनेंशियल रूल्स 2017 जो कि रिप्लेस करता है J&K फाइनेंशियल कोड को सिलेबस में फ्रॉम 4/2021 से। अभी उसके हिसाब से कोई पेपर नहीं आया, तो अभी हमारे पास उसका कोई भी पेपर अवेलेबल नहीं है। तो विद दिस I'll conclude this video। जाने से पहले मैं आपको बताती हूँ, अगर आपने सब्सक्राइब नहीं की है चैनल तो प्लीज़ चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और बेल का आइकन दबाइए सो दैट आपको हर वीडियो की नोटिफिकेशन मिलती रहे। साथ ही साथ वीडियो को लाइक और शेयर ज़रूर कीजिएगा सो दैट कंटेंट जो है बाकी मिनिस्ट्रियल स्टाफ के हमारे कोलीग्स तक पहुँच जाए। थैंक यू सो मच।